7 smart responses that will silence anyone. The strongest response is often the one nobody expects. Not anger, not shouting, not revenge, not trying to prove that you're right. Most people believe power comes from having the perfect comeback. The Stoics believed something very different. They understood that true power comes from controlling yourself when others lose control of themselves. Anyone can react emotionally. Anyone can argue. Anyone can insult. But remaining calm when someone is trying to provoke you, that requires strength. And strength is rare. Think about the last time someone insulted you. Maybe they questioned your intelligence, your appearance, your success, your decisions, your character. What was your first instinct? Probably to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back, to prove them wrong. That is exactly what most people do. And that is why most people remain trapped in endless conflict. The Stoics understood that many arguments are not won through words. They are won through composure, through wisdom, through emotional discipline, through refusing to surrender control of your mind. Today we will explore 7 smart Stoic responses that can silence almost anyone. Not because they are clever tricks, not because they are manipulative, but because they expose a level of self-control that most people never develop. Each response is rooted in Stoic wisdom. Each response protects your peace. And each response reveals a powerful truth. The person who controls their reactions controls their life. Subscribe to Stoic Reflections for more videos on Stoicism, self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and mental strength. Because when you learn to master your responses, you become impossible to provoke. Response number 1. Respond with calm silence. The first response is also the most powerful. Silence. Most people underestimate silence because it looks passive. The Stoics knew it was often the strongest move available. There was a young merchant named Adrian who was known throughout his town for his patience. One afternoon, a competitor publicly insulted him. The man mocked his business, mocked his reputation, mocked his character. The crowd expected a fight. They expected shouting. They expected drama. Instead, Adrian simply listened. He remained calm. He said nothing. Then he walked away. The crowd was confused. Some even thought he had lost. But over the following weeks, something interesting happened. People forgot the insults. But they remembered Adrian's composure. They remembered his self-control. They remembered that one man behaved emotionally while the other remained disciplined. And that difference changed how they viewed both men. The Stoics understood something important. When someone insults you, they are often seeking a reaction. They want your anger, your frustration, your attention, your emotional energy. The moment you react impulsively, you give them exactly what they want. But silence denies them that reward. Silence communicates confidence. It communicates control. It communicates that your self-worth is not dependent on winning every argument. Think about a fire. A fire survives because it receives fuel. Arguments are similar. They survive because people continue feeding them. Silence removes the fuel, and many conflicts die naturally when nobody continues feeding them. This does not mean remaining silent forever. It means understanding that not every attack deserves a response. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every insult deserves your energy. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that other people's behavior belonged to them. His response belonged to him. That distinction is powerful. You cannot always control what others say, but you can control whether you participate in their chaos. A person who can remain calm in the face of disrespect possesses a power that anger can never achieve. Response number 2. You may be right. This response surprises people because it completely changes the direction of conflict. Most arguments continue because both sides are desperately trying to defend themselves. Nobody wants to appear wrong. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to surrender. The Stoics were different. They valued truth more than pride. There was a philosopher who often debated in public. One day a man aggressively criticized him. "You are completely wrong." The crowd waited for a heated response. Instead, The philosopher smiled and replied, "You may be right." The tension disappeared instantly. Why? Because the critic was prepared for resistance. He was prepared for a battle. He was prepared for opposition. He was not prepared for humility. The Stoics understood that certainty can become dangerous. No human being knows everything. No human being is correct all the time. Sometimes your critic genuinely sees something you do not. Sometimes they possess information you lack. Sometimes they are partially correct. By responding with "you may be right," you accomplish several things. First, you demonstrate humility. Second, you reduce conflict. Third, you reveal emotional maturity. And fourth, you force the other person to reconsider their approach. Many arguments survive because people defend their ego rather than examine reality. The Stoics encouraged the opposite. They encouraged curiosity, openness, and intellectual honesty. This response does not mean automatically agreeing with everyone. It means recognizing the possibility that you might not possess the complete picture. And that mindset makes you far more difficult to defeat. Because ego creates blind spots. Humility creates growth. Strong people do not fear being wrong. Weak people build their identity around never admitting it. Response number 3. That's your opinion. One of the greatest sources of suffering is confusing opinions with facts. The Stoics constantly warned against this mistake. There was a young artist named Marcus. Every time someone criticized his work, he became devastated. One negative comment could ruin his entire week. One harsh opinion could destroy his confidence. Eventually, an older mentor asked him a simple question. Did their opinion change the quality of your work? Marcus answered no. Then why are you treating their opinion like reality? That question transformed his thinking. The Stoics understood that people constantly express opinions. Some are useful, some are ignorant, some are emotional, some are thoughtful, but all of them remain opinions. When someone says, "You'll never succeed," that is an opinion. When someone says, "You're not good enough," that is an opinion. When someone says, "Nobody respects you," that is an opinion. And opinions do not automatically become truth simply because they are spoken confidently. A calm response such as, "That's your opinion," can instantly end many arguments. Not because it is rude, but because it recognizes reality. Everyone is entitled to their perspective, but no one is entitled to make their perspective your reality. The Stoics believe that allowing every opinion to control your emotions creates misery. Freedom begins when you learn to separate facts from judgments. The moment you master that skill, criticism loses much of its power. Other people's opinions reveal their perspective. They do not define your value. Response number 4. I understand why you feel that way. One of the smartest responses you can ever learn is not an argument. It is understanding. Most people enter conversations with one goal: to win, to dominate, to prove the other person wrong. The Stoics pursued a different goal: to understand. Because understanding often achieves what arguing never can. There was a successful businessman named Victor who managed hundreds of employees. Early in his career, he made a mistake. Whenever someone criticized him, he immediately defended himself. Whenever someone complained, he argued. Whenever someone challenged him, he pushed back. The result was predictable: more tension, more conflict, more resentment. One day, an older executive gave him advice he never forgot. He said, "When people feel unheard, they become louder." Victor didn't fully understand at first, but over time he noticed something. Many people were not looking for a fight. They simply wanted to feel understood. So he changed his approach. The next time an employee angrily criticized a decision, Victor didn't argue. He didn't interrupt. He didn't defend himself. Instead, he calmly said, "I understand why you feel that way." Something remarkable happened. The employee's anger immediately softened. The conversation became productive. Solutions appeared, and the conflict faded. Why? Because understanding lowers defenses. The Stoics understood that emotions often drive arguments more than logic. When people feel attacked, they become defensive. When people feel understood, they become receptive. This response does not mean you agree. It does not mean the other person is right. It simply means you recognize their perspective. And recognition is powerful. Imagine two doors. One door is labeled attack. The other is labeled understanding. Most people choose the first door. The Stoics chose the second. Because understanding creates influence. Attack creates resistance. Think about the last time someone genuinely listened to you. Not interrupted. Not judged. Not dismissed. Simply listened. How did it make you feel? Valued. Respected. Heard. The Stoics understood that people become calmer when they feel understood. That is why this response is so powerful. Instead of escalating conflict, it dissolves it. Instead of creating enemies, it creates connection. And instead of feeding emotion, it encourages reason. People often forget your arguments. They rarely forget how you made them feel. Response number 5. I have nothing to prove. This response terrifies insecure people. Why? Because they expect you to fight for validation. Most people spend their lives trying to prove themselves. Prove their intelligence. Prove their success. Prove their value. Prove their importance. And because they are desperate to prove themselves, they become easy to manipulate. The Stoics refused to play that game. There was a philosopher who frequently faced criticism from those who disliked his teachings. One afternoon, a man publicly mocked him. The man questioned his wisdom, questioned his knowledge, questioned his credibility. The crowd waited for a debate. They expected a long defense. Instead, the philosopher smiled and replied, I have nothing to prove. The crowd fell silent. Why? Because confidence does not need constant validation. The insecure person desperately seeks approval. The confident person understands that their worth exists independently of other people's opinions. This is one of the most liberating lessons in Stoicism. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to convince every critic. You do not need to justify your value to people who are determined not to see it. Imagine carrying a diamond. Would you feel obligated to convince every stranger of its worth? Of course not. The diamond remains valuable whether others recognize it or not. The same principle applies to your character, your integrity, your wisdom, your discipline. Your value does not increase because someone praises you, and it does not decrease because someone criticizes you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he constantly reminded himself that public opinion was temporary. Praise was temporary. Criticism was temporary. Character was what mattered. The moment you stop needing external validation, people lose one of their most effective tools of control. Because many manipulators rely on your need for approval. They offer praise to influence you, withhold approval to control you, use criticism to weaken you. But when you genuinely have nothing to prove, those tactics stop working. That is why this response is so powerful. Not because it defeats the other person, because it frees you. The strongest confidence is not loud. It is the quiet certainty that requires no audience. Response number 6. Ask a calm question. Most arguments are emotional. Most people react without thinking. The Stoics believe questions are often more powerful than statements. Why? Because questions force reflection. Statements create resistance. Questions create awareness. There was a teacher named Alexander who was known for his extraordinary patience. Whenever students became argumentative, he rarely responded with direct opposition. Instead, he asked questions. One day, a student angrily declared, "Everyone is against me." Alexander calmly asked, "Everyone?" The student paused. For the first time, he examined his own claim. A few moments later, he admitted, "Not everyone." The conversation changed instantly. Why? Because the question exposed exaggeration. The Stoics understood that many beliefs collapse under examination. Many assumptions survive only because they are never questioned. Imagine someone says, "You're a failure." Most people immediately become defensive. But a calm question changes everything. What specifically makes you think that? Now the burden shifts. The other person must explain their reasoning. Often they discover their argument is weaker than they believed. Or perhaps they reveal useful information. Either way, the conversation becomes more productive. Questions also demonstrate emotional control. A person who asks thoughtful questions appears composed, curious, confident, while emotional reactions often reveal insecurity. There is another benefit. Questions expose motives. Suppose someone insults you publicly. Instead of reacting emotionally, you ask, "What are you hoping to achieve by saying that?" Suddenly, the conversation changes. The focus moves away from emotion and toward intention. And many people become uncomfortable when forced to examine their motives. The Stoics valued wisdom over victory. Questions support wisdom, because wisdom grows through understanding, not through shouting. A thoughtful question can accomplish more than 100 angry responses. Response number 7. Walk away. This may be the most powerful response of all. Walking away, not because you lost, not because you are afraid, but because you recognize something important. Not every battle deserves your attention. There was a retired general named Marcus. Throughout his life, he had won many battles. Yet the older he became, the more selective he grew. One day a young man insulted him publicly. The insult was deliberate. The challenge was obvious. The crowd expected confrontation. Instead, Marcus simply turned and walked away. A friend later asked, "Why didn't you respond?" Marcus smiled and answered, "Because some victories cost more than they are worth." That answer contains profound Stoic wisdom. Many people waste enormous amounts of time fighting unnecessary battles. Online arguments, personal feuds, pointless conflicts, petty rivalries. The problem is not that they cannot win. The problem is that winning provides little value. The Stoics constantly emphasize the importance of protecting your energy, your attention, your peace, your focus, because these resources are limited. Every minute spent arguing with a fool is a minute unavailable for growth. Every hour spent defending yourself against unfair criticism is an hour unavailable for meaningful work. Every emotional battle consumes energy that could have been invested elsewhere. Walking away requires confidence. The insecure person feels compelled to respond, compelled to defend, compelled to prove themselves. The confident person understands something different. Not every opinion matters. Not every insult deserves a reply. Not every challenge deserves acceptance. Sometimes walking away is not weakness. Sometimes it is wisdom. Imagine a king. Would a king stop his journey to argue with every person who criticized him? Of course not. His mission is too important. His time is too valuable. His focus is too precious. The Stoics encouraged adopting the same mindset. Know what deserves your energy. Know what deserves your attention. And know what deserves neither. The person who walks away from unnecessary conflict often wins the battle nobody else can see. The world teaches people to react. Stoicism teaches people to respond. And there is a difference. Reaction is emotional. Response is intentional. Reaction is impulsive. Response is disciplined. Reaction gives away power. Response preserves it. Remember these 7 smart Stoic responses. Respond with calm silence. Say, "You may be right." Say, "That's your opinion." Say, "I understand why you feel that way." Say, "I have nothing to prove." Ask a calm question. And when necessary, walk away. Notice that none of these responses rely on aggression. None rely on insults. None rely on dominance. Because true power does not come from defeating other people. It comes from mastering yourself. The Stoics understood that the strongest person in any conflict is often the one who remains calm. The one who refuses to surrender control of their emotions. The one who protects their peace. The one who chooses wisdom over ego. Subscribe to Stoic Reflections for more videos on Stoicism, self-mastery, emotional intelligence, confidence, and mental strength. And remember, Anyone can win an argument. Very few people can win control of themselves. And in the eyes of the Stoics, that is the greatest victory of all.